Also to our viewers, those of you that's on GBN's channel 7 and channel 11, channel 20 if you're in cable, and those of you that's following us via our Facebook feed or via our YouTube channel, we say good morning to you. I'm Joseph Cadore, and welcome to the televised edition of the Mid-Morning Buzz. It is Tuesday, and as is expected, we do that link up with the members of the Royal Grenadier Police Force, and this morning we'll be speaking with members of the Community Relations Department in the persons of Corporal Noel and Corporal Noel, yes, and Constable Sylvester, and we'll be taking a look at the role, functions of the community relations, and it's a department that we, of course, in more recent times, you hear a lot from them, but sometimes it is always important to get a better appreciation if they, in fact, tell us what exactly is their role and involvement, so you, as the general public, we can be educated collectively. So I want to say good morning to the team. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to the program. How are you?
Good morning, Joe, and good morning to Grenada, GBN viewing and listening public.
Good morning to you listeners. Good morning to you viewers.
Great. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. Time is fast spent, so let's see how we can speed through this again. The Community Relations Department. We hear a lot of the department, but sometimes hearing of the department doesn't necessarily mean that we understand the role and functions that you're expected to carry out. And so let us start first with that. The Community Relations Department, what exactly is its role and function within the whole runnings and operations of the Royal Grenadier Police Force?
Investigation into internal affairs, like conflicts against police, dealing with juveniles, delinquent conduct, community outreach, media relations. Then we have professional responsibility. So professional responsibility would deal with communicating, all right, and then have audits that would be executing the policies that were put. The audit will ensure that police officers they do what they're supposed to do and they get to back forward all that. So when professional responsibility
An audit will ensure that the policies are kept. So we have these 3 units on the
community relations and community relations department that is headed by Superintendent Van Cohen, and he was one of the first in charge of audit, and now we have a new
I'm not sure. For some reason, you seem to be off mic. I'm hearing you very, 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 very distant.
Well, let me talk. Corporal Noel mentioned research and development.
I'm getting a feedback somewhere along the line. I'm not sure exactly. Who's there with me?
Yes, I'm here with you. Yes, I'm here with you.
So you've mentioned that there's 3 departments, of course, that makes up the community relations arm. But I'm hoping for the purpose of time, let's see if we can probably try to focus in on the community relations and the role that it plays in terms of fostering a better relationship between itself and the public. Let's talk about that relationship between the department and the public, how that works in terms of maybe making reports, what exactly your role is in terms of creating a better image for the department, dealing with complaints, whatever the issue is, and those other audits and so on, because for the purpose of time we probably want to leave that for now. So let's deal with the basic day-to-day functions. We'll assume, as with any other unit, any other organization, that the public relations department, your role and responsibility is that of communicating your role, functions, whatever happens on a day-to-day basis. You act as a bridge between the organization and the general public. Is that a reasonable assessment?
Yes, you can put it like that. We know that on a daily basis, people go to the regular station, the outstation, and they would interact with the police officers, right? But most of the time, that would be for matters relating, let's say, to criminal matters against other members of the public. Now, in the community relations department, we are not just into the civilian versus civilian complaints, but also, as you know, police, civilian complaining against police. But that is just part of what the community relation department is about. We're also about fostering a relationship, as was stated by Corporal Noel, fostering a relationship between the public, because policing is not something that can be done without the public. The public helps us in our investigation. So once we have a good partnership with the public, then we know that when we have our investigations, that they can give us great impetus in whatever it is that we're investigating. So we do have even community outreach projects where what we're trying to do is, one of the mandate of the RGPF is to not just solve crime, but to prevent crime. So there are multiple ways of preventing crime, and one of the ways of doing that is by fostering relationship with the public, with the community. So there might be issues in the community that may not be crime related, but the community relation department, we would go into that community and find out, okay, what is that problem, and how can we as an organization, that is the RGPF, help into finding solutions for that issue. So that's one of the things that we do, fostering a relationship with the community, not only for crime fighting, but for community development as well.
Speak a little bit more specifically. I know that that in more recent times that the force has been on a mandate to bridge the divide between itself and the public, whether it's in engagement at schools. I know you have different arms, whether it's through the police band. I know you also engage, for example, in community activities, whether or not is in that of assisting with public with construction, sort of different things. Let's kind of get into some of the specifics so people can at least appreciate exactly what is it that you do.
Well, yeah, some of the things that you mentioned, these are some of the things that the organization on a whole engages in with the public. And it's truly this partnership with the public that I can say that we have been instrumental in doing some of the things that we have been doing. If there isn't any media engagement or any engagement with the public, there is, as far as I can see, there is hardly any way that we can move forward. Case in point, the incident at WAV, where persons were blocking the road and rioting. All right, the police had to engage persons, but it was through the community relations department that most of the engagement was done. And that's what one of the things that the department is responsible for. So when there is press releases, for example, it doesn't come from other sources, that is, other sources within the RGPF, but it comes from the community relations department, because we are also responsible for media engagement. So it's not only community, as was stated, but also media releases for the organization. That's what the department does as well.
Let me ask you guys. I see Corporal Noel. I'm assuming that he's back. Corporal Noel, are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm hearing you quite clear.
Let me ask you though, if you are to put, if you have to measure where the relationship is with the general public and the Royal Grenada Police Force, in light of the efforts that you've made in the last 10 years, and I'm probably just being conservative, but I know that there's been a concerted effort. Have you been able to bridge that gap? And if so, if not,
over the years, the Royal Grenada Police Force have been able to, move quite a way. I can say we have come a long way, but we still have a long way to go in terms of relationship with the public. But we are working on every day, through community policing, through our good partnership that we always trying to make better with the public, and through a number of programs that we intend to engage public. For instance, we have planned a community program that I don't want to really break the ice on, but in recent times we would have seen the prayer and walkthrough that was done earlier in the year, just as COVID was coming in, that done from the River Road area to the town of St. George, that was led by Corporal Andy. We would have seen in the past, police officers engage in the construction of homes, so on, and this helped us in a great way to develop a better relationship with members of the public. And so I must say that we are getting a lot of cooperation. Persons are feeling a little more free now to come to the police,
right,
as we have seen in terms of crime statistics, that they are more reporting of cases now, and we're not only speaking in terms of sexual offenses, but generally people are feeling more to come forward and report matters that is of a criminal nature that concerns the police. So we have our office open so that persons can come to office to report misconducts of police officers in terms of if they breach protocol, if police officers they are delinquent in terms of failing to maintain children, in terms of owing persons and not paying and so on. So
Okay,
office is open and we are willing to assist the public. I must say that is something that the commissioner would foresee a long time ago. So that office was created in order to make the public a little more comfortable and to help police officers to keep in line with what is expected of them as stated in the law.
so if I have any concern, and I'm saying concern, because I don't want to necessarily say a problem, because something might be a concern, not necessarily a problem, but any concern that I have, so what you're saying is that I'm free to call the community relations department and say, I observe Constable Sylvester doing X, Y, and Z. I observe Corporal Noel doing X, Y, and Z. Is that something I can easily do? And
yes.
how is that process facilitated? So I make a call and
well, yes, Joseph, we entertain complaints in different forms. All right, in recent times, we developed a form at the office. Someone can call over the phone and make their complaint, state their complaint, and the information be recorded, and the matter will be looked into. And we also have the walk-in, walk into the office, where persons who have concerns walk into the office, they make a complaint to police, a statement is recorded, and the matter is investigated. Sometimes we find that people come into the office and they request a certain course of action, to be taken, against the police officer. Sometimes through our investigations and so on, the course of action that requesting sometimes is not possible to take that course of action based on evidence, and we would give feedback.
So, for example,
in most cases, and I shouldn't be saying in cases, but we are supposed to give feedback in all cases, but in most cases, you give feedback to the public, and it's not always, well received because of public expectation. But we say that there is not always, evidence to forward in pursuing what the public is requesting.
Okay,
based on our
let me ask you.
investigation.
Let's create a specific scenario, because we want at least the public to get an appreciation. So, what are some of, let's say, the reports that the public would call and say, okay, I have an issue with Corporal Noel. I'm using you, of course, to the purpose of you being here. What are some of the everyday complaints you hear? And of course, people in their mind, they will then determine the judgment that they want handed down. So let's do some of the typical cases, and what would be some of the judgment that they are requesting.
Okay, so for instance, someone might come to the office and say that Corporal Noel abuses power in relation to executing his duties. It might be something trivial whereby they say that preferential treatment, for instance, police officers may go to a community and ask some shopkeepers to close, and other shopkeepers with the same license, they may not ask to close. So these persons might feel that they are being targeted, and so they might come into the office and say, okay, we think that we are being fairly treated by ex-police officer, and so we're requesting that disciplinary action be taken against the officer.
What in your...
Now, in a scenario like this, the officer would be summoned to the office, or maybe firstly we request a report from the officer stating what actually took place, because stories have more than one thing. Yeah, so we might request a report from the police officer. He would send in his report and state what exactly took place. And his story may not be taken as gospel, because we also have stories on the other side. We might persons who are wrong at the same time, independent witnesses outside of the actual complainant and the police officer. And that person, if they're willing to come to a case conference in that case, because there wouldn't be a criminal charge against the police officer because no one was committed.
Okay, let me ask
just
you.
That the person saying was unfairly treated. So the officer would be called into the office, and he would be seriously spent to in relation to, his conduct, and exercise, a more fair judgment in the execution of his duty. But there are cases where the public would complain against a police officer for physically assaulting them or causing harm to an individual in the execution of his duty, whereby they might be saying that they did resist the officer, so there was no reason for the officer to use excessive force, to use that level of force against them. And similarly, in the investigation will be done. Statements will be obtained from persons who was wrong.
Right.
Similar to that crime. So you investigate those matters and you get your findings, you would make a recommendation. If the person requests court action, you would forward that report to the officer in charge, in turn would forward the report to Commissioner of Police, and it may reach to the Director of Public Prosecution to determine whether criminal action should be taken in that office.
Okay, let me ask you.
Been done in the past.
Let me ask you. I understand that. Very often, you hear individuals say, police officers cover for one another, and as such, they may not necessarily trust the system to work on their behalf. What assurances can you give us from the Community Relations Department that is far from the truth, and that all reports once made against a police officer is treated as is, and there is no cover-up, no there's no reason for the public to believe, well, listen, they're not going to get we're not going to get anything in terms of a fair treatment coming out of a report being made?
Well, if I would choose to answer, I believe when Corporal Noel was speaking, he mentioned that during an investigation, we don't only look at the size of the complainant and the defendant, we look at independent witnesses as well. Because if there was an altercation between a police officer and a civilian, and the civilian complains against the police, now one person who will be able to give an account that probably would differ from that of the complainant and of the police officer may be an independent witness who would either corroborate the story or disprove the story of any of the other. So that this is what we look at. We don't only look at the two stories of the complainant and or the officer. We look at also the stories of the independent witnesses as well.
But sometimes it would seem reasonable to believe.
May I just add to that? Yeah, Joe?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
May I just add, the bug doesn't stop with the police. So police doesn't really have the finals in terms of whether or not the matter goes for the court. Because the director of public prosecution upon complaint of a file, and that file before him, and he sees that there is evidence or there this matter needs to go before court, then or there's something missing, he can just send back police, do further investigations. All right? So the police, there's no chance of police cover in terms of hiding a complaint that is made against a police officer. Once that is fairly dated, and I say clearly that the community relations department or investigative team is a team of fair police officers. And sometimes, I must say that even police officers themselves, they sometimes show a kind of negative side. But we want the public to know that we are not anti-police, but we are against the public. But we are here to ensure that the relationship between the public and the police is being maintained and is always seen as something that can develop. And we are here to create that, to bridge the gap between the public and the police.
Great.
So we keep that unit connected.
Thank you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, I know we have not done justice to the topic, of course, because of the challenge we had with time, because of programming issue from the post-cabinet briefing. But certainly, we appreciate the time, but we have to cut it. We have to cut it here. What I probably think we need to do is to ask your superiors that we can follow up on this conversation in another broadcast, hopefully next week. Thank you, Corporal Noel and Constable Samson Sylvester of the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. 20 minutes on to the hour of 12 o'clock. We're getting ready, of course, at the top of the hour for the midday edition. But before we do, we just want to make a trek down to the south of the island to connect with our friends inside of Real Value IGA. We take a quick commercial break, and we are going to be right back.
Wait to see my granddaughter. Francis Urias Peters. To really know who I am, you must look at the plays that I've written over the past 30 years, because they reflect hard work, discipline, and my inner beliefs. Now, these values were shaped by my earlier bringings, because I was always curious about my roots and my identity as a Caribbean man. Now, I'm a good listener, and K105 has always been a great source of education and entertainment. Now, while the station name may have changed over the years, it has always provided valuable information which enabled me as a playwright to document and to celebrate our history, our behavior, and our achievements. K105 is my choice. It's the national station.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Treatment, but you know, we're watching this, we're watching that. Cams, how are you? It has been a while. What's happening?
It's been okay, thank you. I hope that you enjoyed your vacation and stuff. I guess we'll leave that for
what vacation? Anyway,
I think we'll leave that for another time when we have more
we leave that for
conversation.
Another time. Let's see how much we can get in within the next 5 or so minutes. Talk to me. What's happening at Real Value?
Okay, so let me just go through the products of the week this week. It's Kraft Mayo, 32 ounces, right? It's the regular price is $19.55. It's those big bottles. Special offer, we have it for $15.55. So you save $4 on a Kraft Mayo this week. And Christmas is around the corner. You know, you might need that for your potato salad for the family and things like that. So now is a good time because you don't know if you might get a $4 off mayo anytime soon again. And Kraft Mayo, it's famous and it's popular brand, and it tastes good.
Okay.
All right. Let me just remind people that we have a long weekend coming up. We have the holiday time coming up. This weekend is Thanksgiving weekend. We have a buy one get one free on Fed on Rum. You could go anywhere with it. We also have quite a bit of discounts and deals at the supermarket as well. So you could get your Coca-Cola, your ginger ale, all your drinks and stuff like that, your food. Remember, Real Value is a full-service supermarket, so you can come and buy all your goods at Real Value Supermarket for your road trip or your trip to Carriacou or wherever it is that you're going for the long weekend. Okay? Also, let me just quickly go to our produce list for this week. So we are looking for more of these items: carrots, lettuce, cabbage, beets, tanya, Edos, dasheen, green bananas, bell peppers, tomatoes, ginger, dry coconut, Christopine, grapefruit, lemon, lime, yam, sweet corn, Morocco flour, cauliflower. And yes, Joseph, we're still looking for local ginger.
Oh, that's a hard one to put our hands on.
Yes, it is. Right? So remember, if you want to sell to Real Value, we do require a farmer's ID. For items to be sold at the supermarket, and please, you can always call 439-2121 and just ask to speak to our purchasing department, and they will direct you and they will tell you when to come down and how much of your goods they would like to carry. Okay? 5 minutes.
5 minutes. What's on the menu? What's in the deli today? What's for lunch? The cafeteria.
Okay, well, we have a variety of chicken dishes. We have fish today. We have rice. We have stew pumpkin, vegetables. If you want a comprehensive list, you could always go on our Facebook page. It's posted there. And you can always call in. Again, the number is 439-2121. And one of our customer service assistants can tell you the items that are on the list today.
Quickly before we run, somebody's trying to reach you. I know you have different platforms, social media, fixed lines, WhatsApp. Tell us.
Okay, right. So we do have WhatsApp ordering, or if you have a question, the number is 404-2121. And that's for WhatsApp ordering or any inquiry you can have. Also, our baseline number is 439-2121. Of course, you can visit us on our Facebook page, Real Value IGA Supermarket. Also on Instagram, realvaluesupermarket.com. Okay? And on our website.
And remind us of your closing hours again.
Right. So, and by the way, we are open on Thanksgiving Day and on Thanksgiving holiday. So we are open on Sunday and on Monday, right? The holiday. Thanksgiving holiday, the 25th and the 26th, from 8 to 7.
Well, indeed, we will be giving thanks on those both days. Thanks a lot, Cams. I know you say in the back of my mind that I owe you. I definitely owe you, but I will deliver in the fullness of time.
I know you will.
I have
every faith in your abilities.
Have a good one, my dear. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Marketing officer there at the Real Value IGA, Camellia Brown. That's where we say, of course, thank you for being part of the televised edition of the Mid-Morning Buzz. I'm JC. Have yourself a really wonderful day. Of course, I'm continuing here with you on Classic 105.5 and 105.9 as we get ready for the midday edition at the top of the hour. Classic in the morning time. Have a great one.